So I guess everyone has met Geshe Tashi from Saramay Monastery, and we have Tenzing Gilek from Lhasa Library. Thank you. And the subject is Bodhichitta. There's a couple of methods for learning Bodhichitta. So this is the sevenfold method. And by the way, our precious Lama Kenrikashe Geshe Tashi, Geshe Michael's Lama and my Lama, they published a book on that subject. So we have a few copies here. So it has the sevenfold method and something called the 7-point mind training from Geshe Chekawa, which is also very precious. So if you're interested, they're out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good evening, Tashi Delek.
Tashi Delek.
So last Thursday we talked about little renunciation, also let's say enemies or enemies, also a friend of nature, immeasurable equanimity. So today we're going to two part, then all sentient beings as our mother, recognize our mother as mother, then repeat remembrance, kindness. So it's going to two part, okay? Then next to the two part, then also next to the two part, then finish. Okay. Then
Sashi Pukhi Jishin Metotram Viral Shin Padi Sangha Shindu Mite Dropin Nanda Shinna Tupasho Hiram Guru Ratna Mandalakam Ninyatayami Sangha Jidam Zaki Jagnam Lam Jongju Vardu Jakni Kyapsuchi Daki Chenyengi Pesanam Ki Drola Panjir Sangha Druparsho Sangha Jidang Zaki Jagnam Lam Jongchu Vardu Jakni Kyapsuchi Daki Jenyengi Pesanam Ki Drola Panjir Sangha Druparsho Sangha Jidang Zaki Jagnam Lam Jongchu Vardu Dakni Kyapsuchi Daki Jenyengi Pesanam Ki Drola Panjir Sangha Druparsho.
thank you, Hector. Good chanting.
Good
chanting. 아니 리냐는 것도 단다. 당연 파노스미 보는 브로시오 바세요. 당연 파노스미 보는 슈거에 디카레스는 것도 다 세메다니 보면 되나요? 마시지 먹은 공간에 코라다 문제소로 있어요. 간선나 당연 파노스인데 따님도 하고 와이마이나 아니 딜라 달라 파 당와다. 아니 이해라 파 칼로다 예우시고 차요. 아니 다다니 카야마에 발라다 디 마요에 된다란 단위 파노스도 따님도 검토바이 바이나 아니 마셈제 탐제 라이비다 소소기 셈제 탐제 소소기 마 전유 유바디 다 로라 또 샤레기 레벨로 여기 된다란 것도 간다 단위 파노스 참바 세메 따님이 시작이 있어요. 맨날 가르쳐서는 이게 신간 dine ta tendo ya boje tendo la shinga di kunyi mo yoba yimba ina an shinga na tendo ya po yoda ane soso gita kali gyamne gyami samdun tini ligo wenza tangbota simje tamjela ta semeta ni bongo tanda di sare semba.
Last session we have been talking about to create some kind of attitude which really equals, levels our feeling toward people that we love, people that we have hatred, or then the people that are indifferent to us. So usually we have this feeling, three types of the feeling. Either is love or hate or indifference. And so we talked about as part of the four immeasurables, the equanimity, and we emphasized how important it is to realize and practice equanimity. This is because once we established equanimity toward all sentient beings, then this will make the next step, which is to recognize all sentient beings as your mothers, make it much easier to practice and to generate that attitude. And one of the examples that we have in the text is when you are able to level the field, and then your crop will be much more better quality. Likewise, when you have a leveling kind of a feeling, this equanimity extending toward all sentient beings without any bias or discrimination, and I think this basis of a feeling and attitude helps you to generate the love toward all sentient beings, especially seeing them your precious mothers in previous life. And so that's where it's important, and we talked about it before, the four immeasurables, especially looking at the equanimity.
But just one mazota simje tamje sosoji ta ma chenyo ba hakola ta dingela ani sosoji ta amadirwa amadi tenche bo ni ba na soso amadi sachimbo kazu yemadi tambo samlo tango do seniro dese gi do na samlo tana ro simje tamje sosoji ma chenyo ba hakola tambo soso madi ma yinda ma yiro sosoji amadi kanje charene amadi soso la kadin kazu kyane wo digi tambo haku do seniro ro simje tamje tanda to kanye yuza tambo soso amadira kadin jibo khase yemi amadila tak khaloda ti kanu sogo yemero kadin kanu sabgo yemi wo dinde je bomba shesini dinde bomba sheyonde ane ta so mi chana da ama yoda me de kyawada yomare ina ama mengi ina de yungi ina de soso amadi be gemo shibo yin samdo tangro gemo shibo yin ba nyam tabo shibo yin ba soso ama dyla ta nyam tabo da gemo che kanyi shibo yin ba 통기 다 야메 땅나 이 타원이 마디 버려 왔으니 어디 디레지 삼로지 땅인데 아마다 제와랑 시기 리로 왔으니 어디 디레지 숨잖아.
So once we establish the attitude, this equanimity attitude to all sentient beings, then I think when we meditate and contemplate all sentient beings as your mother, I think it will be easier way. And so when we start
taking permission, I take the liqueur.
And so to really have this compassion toward all sentient beings, because they have been your mother in the previous life, it's important to have a compassion toward your mother for this life. And so first of all, we have to know that we have a mother. We have to have a mother for this life, for how we come about. And then you have to really know that they are kind to us. And so in order to really have this compassion toward your mother for this life, and when we first meditate on our mother, we meditate and kind of aging, very kind of vulnerable or in poor shape. A mother, you can't visualize a mother who's aging, and who really need help, vulnerable. When you do this kind of visualization and contemplation, and then you naturally feel compassion and love toward them because they need help. But when you meditate your mother being in a very poor condition, needy, in vulnerable state, yet still you do not get that kind of emotional arousal, then it's a little bit more problematic for the next steps.
다 진짜 선상 소소 아마 양 타고데 소소 뒤라파 양데바 하고지 고기 소소 부기 될 야면 땅바이나 다 따원이나 내려버리는데 배제 예정에는 국주 고급에서 용미가 왔습니다.
So visualizing and seeing your mother, visualizing and seeing your mother for this life in a very vulnerable state, and when you don't feel compassion toward her, then it's very strange. I don't think 99% of the people would have this problem. They'll naturally have this strong feeling when you see your mother in kind of very vulnerable and in need.
다 진짜 선상 소소 아마게 딘데 양은 되어도 소소로 봐 세워 딘데 빼고디 가리기 온기를 했으니로 아마디 소소 딘데 아마들 딘데 양 타봐 아마디 소소 딘라 봐 통용디 아마라 라시기 세워래 나 라시기 잠발래 가리기 돈을 했으니 소소도 삼로지 코르고로 왔으니 대인자 니 아마디 말아 가진시 짱샤 왔으니로 가진시 그 짱샤 왔으니 가진 짱바에나 간디스 짱바랬으나 아니 소소 takati kyangba handis kyangba di gongba she ani soso ba ke ama yo chona ma ke yong ba re ani tanda chembo cha de ro wa sen ro mi chana chembo cha de tanda chembo gi samlo di kanil le ba re sena shunu kan le ba re samlo ji tang ro tanda yi samlo ji do ta pena mang chwa mo shi ji pi jang da ta ni shi pi ne khazo na di samlo di kanil le ba re sena da 이게 shunu kan le ba shunu ko gi samlo di kanil sena 이 집에 kan le ba ro 집에 가면 다 집에 가게 삼로디 아마 이제 코바는데 깨서서 부부에 삼로디 다 아무 코바 부부나를 내고 그러면도 단단해서 랑 말어 왔으니로 다 아무 코바는 이 부부 들라야 셰바 초안이요 남신이요 콜라 근데 남신이 가는 데 받았으나 다 경험을 주기를 마도 내가 로버도 아무 코바는라 리스에 켜내요 말했으니로 뭐 되는 다 경험을 두셔야겠네요.
So when we feel the compassion toward our mother for this life, seeing when we visualize them in a vulnerable state or aging, that they need help, and we naturally feel the compassion toward them. And so why do we feel this compassion? This is because they are very kind. The mother was very kind to us for this life. And so because she has been fulfilling a lot of our dreams, and now she is really kind of very vulnerable and aging state. So this kind of feeling is related to that, how she treated us when we were a child, and now she needs help. And so let's change the topic here and looking from another point of view. So let's say that I have this compassionate feeling toward my mother now, and then I'm thinking where this thought is coming from. So the very thought I'm having moment, the mind stream, saying where this mind is kind of tracing back, and I keep back to the previous year until when I'm young or you. So the mind stream, the current mind stream is coming traced back to where I was young and youth, and then you keep tracing back till I was a child, because the same mind stream, right? The mind stream coming from the childhood until now, the same mind stream, and then from childhood, the mind stream going back to when I was in womb, and still the same mind stream, consciousness, and when I was in womb, there's a feeling, also the awareness and so on. And then I keep tracing back the same mind stream and then it has to be my previous life or my previous reincarnate. And so by looking at the logic here, that the mind stream and the consciousness that I have today, is actually coming from yesterday, and then we can trace it until we were in womb for this life, no problem. But then it doesn't end there, and if we are able to, more advanced thinking and trace it back, we will be traced back to the previous, before I was conceived even. To that extent, we can trace the same mind stream. So what this is now suggesting to us is that this mind stream and consciousness keep going. And if we trace back, we can trace back up to the next life. And this now suggesting something here, suggesting that there's a life before this life. Dirba?
No. That amagi togona ni bugudi that andagi pena hector ki samlodi yama dallo ni shuwe kamne chuge samlodi lebara wasenelwa ta lo ni shuwe lebe samlodi ta lo chuge phacha lo chune da bugu chune la ta kema thawala jarwa kema thawala jane amoi togona ne bugu samlota khoje samlodi ama togona ne bugu samlodi ta yama kyawanga mane lebara kyawanga lebuga kyawanga de la ama mena ko ketu mara wasenelwa tenza maso pejanala and kyawala thoma mela de dene dugu sare senelwa kyawala thoma mesen kyawala thoma yes kada thoma mesen thama yesen kyawala thama ye thoma mesen kyawala thama ye di khoye zawa gyu danzila thama doa sen go se doa senelwa tenza kyawala thama mela de dube din sare senelwa.
So, as I mentioned, if we look at the Hector's lifespan and the Hector's consciousness 10 years ago, we go back another 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it's still Hector's mind stream, consciousness, right? It's coming from the same stream. And then you trace further to when Hector was a child, and then going back further and when Hector was in the womb. But still, same kind of a mind stream you can trace until now. And then if you trace further from the womb, you go back to his previous life. So this, first of all, is indicating that there's a life beyond this lifespan. Secondly, then if there is a life beyond this lifespan, then that meaning we have to be born. And to be born, we need a mother. So, first we're making a 2 point here. First of all, that we are now being able to identify that there's a life beyond this, also the previous life. If there was a life before this life, we have to rely on our mother really to go about. And so this suggesting that the relying on another person, another sentient being, is really required if you accept the notion that there's a life beyond this, and meaning you also have to rely on the mother. And so that's where we Buddhists say that our birth has no what you call beginning, that we are here from beginningless. But there's an end to our birth. Once we really purified our self-grasping nature, and then I think it will be the end of the birth. So we say, as a Buddhist, we do not believe in the beginning of the life. The life is beginningless. Once you attain enlightenment, that's end of the life, or end of the birth. That's it.
That in the songs Kyawangama Duktuba Yamana, Kyawangama de la Amabore, Digit Kyawangama de la Amabore, Ta Amatseyondi, Amala Tangnever is Yasinero, Amala Tangnever, Ta Sedila Mazo, Mimili Tovare, Kyawama Mimili, Yavakin Yamaro, the Dorje to his Dorje Jun and the Karekari Kyawali, Suchi Laptumaro, and then Pajuji Kyawalema and the Chi Kyawan, de la Amaji Wood was in. adi ngamade ko namshi de yula de kansa je simje insan di ngamade la amaji go dosi kale tsiyon ta 야야 지금 도마키는 문제였어요. 대인사 심지 탐지기 있다. 심지 탐지기 로소소에 아마 인라에디 다 로아르도 상황이 있다. 겨와 레뉴이 장냐를 소소로 로아르도 겨와 레뉴이 장냐에서 또 로아르도 소소기 마치뉴 민도스네다. 다당어서 심지 탐지서 마치뉴 인라에디다. 리피도 좀 쏘디 인사를 했습니다.
So now we are able to see that life is beginningless. When we go about our life, we have to rely on a mother, be it a cow or dog, whatever life that you are born into, that you are required to have a mother. And so in our previous lives, we must have born as a human being, or sometimes in animal realms, sometimes in different realm, and there's no certainty. So basically, this has been going on and on and on all the time, and so because especially we believe there's no beginning, as our birth has been beginningless. We have been born into all the major realms, and when we do so, we are required to have a mother. And we are required to have their kindness to cherish us. And for this reason, we establish this logic that all the sentient beings are your mothers from your previous life. That's why you have to be nice to them. So this logic, this is how we kind of establish the logic. And that's where
다 룽기 두제 삼도 담바이나 단다 발렌슈다이다 데르와 다마크리데와 다마키데이다 겨왕만 두데 간에서 두베스나 시바케만 타베다 겨와연소 렘바나 주무 온볼로나 란제들라 때면체 숨어와 다 자와치나 다 자와디시 규모와체 단다 이리비 두제 겨왕만 두베디 시바케만 타베 리포츠진 숨네 시바케만 타나 아마 코바는 깨서 부고디 쳐진 라로 코지 리포디 쳐지 리포가 먹는도 송아래 세네로 리포가 먹는도 소데 리파 이메지 코셔야다 리피 두제 소디레 세네로 안된 차라기 겨왕만 두디 시바케만 타베 리포치지 리파가 먹는도 송데 리파 이메지 딱 코셔야다 리파 이나 그 리파가 먹는도 송에 켜봐 두대야다 대인사 남시이나 맞아 풍부도 메다 정도에는 남시디 균이 연구에 관해서 kun 남시지 레슨 남시지 임바는 코종말 남시지 뭔도 못서는 kun 남시 계속 균요 말했습니다. 오다 발렌쇼를 딘디스 두샤 했습니다. 루유 두제네 다리 그 두제네 네가 나가 도추가 서봐.
And so that's why that we establish this logic that all sentient beings are our mothers from our previous life. This is because that we carry our consciousness from life to life, and in the same kind of mind stream. And this is also, I think, logically speaking, this is one the reasons that we give for the rebirth. And another, I think, further reason is given by Dharmakirti's this logic. It's both logic and also his the rooms.
롱다리 거니가 도시거든. 리과에 두면 맞아 다기 돈을 두시고도 다 롱기 돈을 두가 있나 맞아 단다 집밖에 맡아베 리과치지. 다 리과니가 단다 겨와용서 렘바나들 롱기 두제체. 그러와 겨와용서 렘바나 중국어를 랑이를 때문에 송으로. 랑이를 마토바디 겨 와라 레사춘이요 말했으니로. 배나 신간나라로와 데 렌도기 삼로에나 신간나라 데이터보레 마도 제 랭게 삼로 코르 아니 이게 막에 대답샤바이나 군이 링면도로 왔으니 막에 답니 제 용서춘이요 말했으니 대인사 리파지 두부고에나 코이겨왕마 리파지 뭔도 송거레 마도 바라 데 신간나라 데키온디 코이 규 데딩모도 송거로 알라 디캔서 오 테나시
So That's one reason that we give for the concept of the rebirth. And also Dhammakirti, we can use his, I think, quotation to establish both the reason as well as the authenticity of the teaching. Dhammakirti said the consciousness of a just born baby is a continuum or a continuation of his previous consciousness. And so why? Because it's a consciousness. Because when we talk about the consciousness, we're tracing back to a same what you call the source. And so to aid to this, I think clarify this point, to have a result, the cause must be the same, or the cause must be in the kind of the same what you call this a circle. For example, if you have wanted to have a rice, you have to put the appropriate seed. So if you put a corn and expecting to have rice, then there's a contradicting relationship between the cause and effect. So to have the result, you also must have an appropriate cause. And for that reason, the Dhammakirti's statement makes sense for both reasons. The one is from the reasoning point that our consciousness is a continuation, the process of the continuation. And so the present consciousness is actually a continuation of the past. And so this is how we establish from the reasoning point of view.
Tende sonza ta tsedi dubela kewang ma duktu na rawa khale ma theyo de kewang ma duktu na kewang ma de la amaje duktu ore sene ama yo duktu ore sene rawa namkan ne sayo ma rawa ta denza kewang ma duktu ne de kewang ma le ngama yore ngama te le ngama yore ya yore ta kewala thamme ba chare amala thamme ba chare do sene denza ta kewa do do khari kewale wa ina ani do re ki so ya ama chinyo ma kenya re ja denza ta kewala thamme ba ta khola khadu kewala le de khadu khor de re ta do do simje tamje khola khor de ma isa de chama da do do ji ta kewale so yi do do khari ye na ama chinyo me sha ta insa ani simje tamje so ma chinyo me la ye de ta so di do to lo se ne ro teza simje tamje rangi ma chinyo wa se all sentences being reborn is as our mother lies in the
So in the Bodhichitta man training, the first one is cultivating that all sentient beings have been our mothers. And so reason for this is, first of all, we establish our the present life, or present birth, that visible and obvious to all of us. And then using the present birth to really trace back our consciousness beyond this birth to establish the previous life. And once we're able to really establish the previous life, then we're able to establish that we are required the affection and the love of mother, because we need to have a mother, regardless of what kind of realms or where we're born. We still need to rely on the kindness of mother. So we can establish the need for mother in our previous lifetime, because our life has been, our birth has been a continuous process. And so once you establish these two important reasons, and then you think, because we have been born, we have have a number of birth in this samsara. It's like a numberless, that we have a number of different forms of birth in different realms, and as we do so, we require to depend on our mothers. And for that reason, in the Bodhichitta teaching, and there's a cultivate that all sentient beings are your mother, because you have been born, right, in this samsara from the beginningless, and when you do so, you rely on the kindness of a mother. And for that reason, we say that all the sentient beings are our mothers, in fact.
but not thinking that this life, all sentient beings is mother. Genuine 제반이다 저시죠. 심지어 탐조서도 마 genuine 누구라마도 심지어 탐조서도 많이 랍나 다 뒤에서 말했으니까. 얘네들은 부디에 아마 차도. 차다 아마마도 빠버긴 거 차도 잘했으니. 심지어 탐조서도 마 genuine. What it is 순도에나.
So here the important point is we are not saying that all sentient beings are our mother in this life. That's not the case, of course. Then what about the fathers? We're saying that all sentient beings have been our mother throughout our kind of cyclic existence.
다 딘데송다 담당하면서 내가 취식이 도스네요. 다 지나는 것도 단다 세메 땅님 라이비 계산하는 것도 뭐 하다 님마든 것도 또 삼로지 땅바리로 또 마삼로지 땅에 다 단다 내가 취식이 가르스나 심지 탐제 소소 마 제뇽바지 마하고라 탐고 소소 아마디 아마레드미도 삼로지 땅가 아마데라 세워 루드미도로 아마도 소소 세디 아마데라 세워 루드미도 터내가서 다 도리지 샤바레 리소네 소소 아마디 소소 데드윤라요 삼로지 땅로 소소 아마 겐고 땅 냠타고지 듄라요 삼로다 델라 소소 김제 삼로다 아마데라 세워 루드미도 김제 삼로다 나가서 디로 데데 아마라 ramna shuju kengi yitsawajiне kengi yitsawa de ligi dumido ci samloji tan to dala so kamani zota ani samloji da gomji ge yisiniro.
So the important point here is we talked about the equanimity. This equanimity toward all sentient beings because they have been our mothers. And so really to establish the affection to our mothers in the past, first of all, you have to really establish that your mother for this life, first you have to establish whether we have a mother for this life or not. Of course we do. Once we establish that we have a mother for this life, then we try to generate an affectionate feeling toward this mother. And how do we do that? We really visualize our mother in a vulnerable kind of need, like she's in a kind of state where she's aging and need our help. And when we visualize that and feeling that kind of warm, affectionate toward her, and so this is the goal of the meditation for this particular session. So we're going to meditate for 2 minutes to establish this genuine, loving, affectionate to our mother for this life. So So we have to establish how precious our mothers are for this life. So this is the end of the meditation.
믹사게 아마지도 로겐고 냠타바 알아 소자 아마 임바체 로겐고도 냠타베 삼로지 땅나 세와 슈청불레 켜와 유리했으니까 아디체 아니 람산다 로 곰도고 말했으니까 이제 칼레 삼로 땅과 임바이나 공모보 인상 뭐고는 요아드라요 데 말에 곰니 달라 마도 뭐고 쥐니 메스므로 곰나 라오르 미주비 뭐데 칸 요마이다 근데 게시시고가 딜레 숨도와 따디 데바로 왔으니까 곰니 라들 마니 뭐고 메바 인상 담아서 잡았으며 곰나래 아니 마시에 곰나래 딘제 곰나래 가래 곰나래 갈래가 람산 여요 말했으니 로로 디테와 임바이나 아니 라라 두에 살했으니 단도 게시시고가 딜레 숨샤스니 야 람산 탕마셔바체 곰삼로다 다미레팅이 있잖아니 다미레 에디가도 마스 카도고 야 돌린치기 안 소소 티와 카도에나 마도 돌린치기 있으니까.
So important here is to really generate the loving affection toward our mother for this lifetime. And so some of our mothers are young and not in kind of needs circumstances that wouldn't help to generate this mind state. So for that reason, the teachings say we visualize our mother as an aging elderly woman. She needs help. She's in kind of no longer this independent, vulnerable. We're talking about a physically a vulnerable situation. And so when we visualize in that kind of state, then we have a much better chance of developing this loving compassionate to her. And of course, in 2 minutes or in a few sessions, we will not be able to have this kind of feeling instantly. Therefore, the Shantideva in the Shantideva's text, the way of Bodhisattvas, he said that everything will be able to change once we really become familiar with it. So the meditation, the purpose of the meditation is to really get familiar with this feeling. And when you, of course, initially during the meditation, it's not going to be easy. It will not have you will not have instant kind of loving affectionate to your mother for one session. But the important thing is keep going, keep doing this meditation, and you become familiar with the feeling to begin with. And this will gradually make it easier, and then we become kind of in nature with this later.
Okay, then now we start. 대조성장한다. 그다 심제 탐제 마체니와 루트나마다나 단나마다 심제 탐제 마체니에 다 삼프디 다 땅나데 딘데 토레 다 땅나 디 삼프디 콜레라요사레 심제와
So although it's not easy to establish this attitude, all sentient beings have been our mother. This is at least how we do it and how we think, and this is the technique.
이나의 수망도 차단한다. 유대명아들이 차단사는 나랑이다. 초동서로다 몸개백을 가래가래 내가 지원인 거. 나란지 속이 있으면 네가 나봐도 야마 대신 dorje 나봐도 갖고 있는 다시고 되더라고요. 상부야야 땅에 소소기 되어있습니다.
So after we've gone through the entire 7 poems about the generating bodhicitta, and then I will summarize each practices, and at that time I will provide further instruction, and especially the important point of pithy, the instructions regarding how to generate these bodhicitta.
다른데 손자 단단한서 윤제 명아 dwing이나네와 윤제 명아 dwing이나네다 다 레센 담보데 스텝 담보데다 이제 차벽구에 마실 다 마실이 다 시험바야 심지 탐지 소소je 많이 마 전용 많이 받이 다 약고지 하고 임바이나 다 마 전용에나 소소라 가진 첨보이 받이 ten고도 쓰네요 가진 첨보이 다 가진 ten디 간데레스나 가진 간데 첨보레스나 다 망쳐와 하고 오바레 소소이다 도나라 데베가라 다와 부자마에 도나라 기도레로 아니 지 부지 초라 드로마이에 삼네로 야마체사 모자나라 드네 사서치 내가 전에 사서치 아니 뒤균들에 딸 내가 팬이 임바에네 아니 데라 부고라나 섬거든 땅나 내가 도나 지 부고라 내가 차게 됐으니 아주 드디어 사서치가 주고에디 초원나기 소소기 부고라 삼로단에 사서치와를 마도 내가 소소 부고라 세와 메바이나 사서치 말와 세네로 메이 비차네 다 타나 이게 튼조 자주월라 섬로 땅바이나 소소 부고 마제 공란에로 아니 사장사다 사zem부다 아니 잡아 마법사다 아니 미긴네 마게서 사실 담보니 다리시기도 하세니로 다리지기도 하세니 아니 미šan다기다 지그리다 개니네레 비조이직 세갈레바이네 부고디 된다 소소 속도네 부고들라 까베기 섬로 땅도 모두 부고디 대유시야 아니 소소 트레기 섬로 땅는 도 하세니 망초 같다 가서 단다 심지기 때문에 뭔가지도 플래닛인사 단다 가서
discover time.
어디나 도와세네. 다디 마소기다 미통 라세로 왔으면 근데 인자 소소 부고라 자원과 자원이 요 말했으니 근데 인자 아마지 딘데기 세와다 참바다 딘데기 돈이 짱되버디 다디 카딘스 인심이 사보라 카딘 칸데 사보레스나 아니 카딘 사탄데라 삼루니 땅고도 세네로 다 스테니 와라 두고 있습니다.
So according to the text, we finished the first point, recognizing all sentient beings have been
not correctly, but not.
So we established this thing about recognizing that all sentient beings have been our mother in our previous life. So the next point in the 7-month training is the remembering their kindness, cultivating the attitude that their kindness is indeed precious to all of us. How do we think that? How do we establish that thinking that the mothers have been kind to us? It's very simple if we simply look at this life, and for humans, it has to be 9 months that a child stays in mother's womb. So the mother bears a lot of pain. On top of that, she pays special attention and goes through special effort and complications to protect the child in the womb. For example, the mother sometimes they give up their career as to protect the unborn child, and some others really go to extraordinary step to make sure the child is not injured. And so all that, they're doing really to for the best interest of the child. And that's why the mothers are kind to us, because they have already done a lot of things before we even come out, and that we wouldn't know now. But if you look at the Discovery Channel and some of the Animal Planet programs, it's amazing that how even the bird, very small insect, go extraordinary step to protect the infant. And we see constantly that the bird, try to create a net to lay the egg, and they try to do so at a kind of a very safe environment. They try to create this safe environment for the children, and they try to really, with their limitation, work really hard to create the best comfort for the unborn baby. And that's really clearly indicate, these mothers go at a kind of great length to show compassion to their children. And that's why we think the mothers are kind to us. A lot of information we infer from the other sources. And so, especially for human beings, we see this constantly, we see the love, the mother's heart toward the children. It's something visible, something you can observe. And so that's not that difficult to establish that they're kind to us. And for the human beings, it seems like a very rare cases where the mother abandoned the children, but the majority of them really makes this extraordinary effort and takes this great step to ensure the safety and the comfort of the infant and children. And this is a clear indication of how kind the mothers are to their children.
아마이 딘데데다 참바다 세와다 딘데 간이기 토네 소소다다 진경바인상 땅어서기 칸에 진경바상 많이 봤다 아마디 같은데 간데서 보여요 심지어도 소소지 마치뉴는 거 선고래 대선 심지어도 이 간데서 경고랬으나 진사베디 아니 될란 내가 비티 경단지다 가진 체단지다로 소소 알레 마제 tin제로 tin제지다 아니 다 타두기 텐텐이 삼도 땅고도 생기로 다 내가 지티 가니 삼도 땅에 가르스나 다 내가 세디기 대화라 삼도 땅고 임바이나 소소고이다 고이네레 세이네레 가레 캉바이나레 가레이나 마초와 심젤라 때레데 바경야레도 와생기로 미션도 유네레 유쟁냐 그나 캉바디 차자웨나 소니 미지메바이나 무슨 데나라 데라고 말했어 도로데라 삼도 땅바이나 소니 미베와는 말로 돌로 타야미도 왔으니 또 세고에 가리네 마저 내가 심지어 랑을 소소 까진 짱짱데 버ken야르지 왔으니 이나야 텐세버에 아까니 개캔 말에 모두 페셔티고라 디다레 퍼져도 마서바이나 페셔이 팽개요 말로 왔으니 대인사 내가 주본다 텐삼도 디땅고 서랬습니다.
And so once we establish that the mothers are very kind to us, and then we have to start thinking, how can we repay this kindness? And so to do that, we have to contemplate this. When we think about this kindness, there are two types of kindness that we can contemplate. One thing is kind of the short-term kindness that they provide to us. The next one is the long-term kindness. And so when we look at the short-term kindness the mothers provided to us, and we can look at everything in this life, around our life, and we realize that this is provided by another sentient being. And for example, when we think about how kind other people are, others are to us, and we can, by looking at this house, we can looking at the clothes that we wear, and we instantly realize that they were produced by another human being. And so without their effort and work so on, we cannot enjoy this. And then some people say, because we're paying money, That's what we got it. Yes, there's some truth to that. But still, I know the human being has to involve in producing this very material that we enjoy. And that kindness is there, right in front of us.
대인자 내가 주문에 되게 선물을 땅바인 바이나 아니 버저 데이터 심지 탐제 내가 지 가진 청거 인바이 하고 그랬으니까 다 다르게 가진 청거 선물로 땅바이나 다르게 가진 청거 인사요 심지인데 매바 인바이나 아니 가서 소사집제 매 맞아요 그러나 산지의 고방 투발라 다 주비 차네 제소 퍼진 줄라 냠소 냠레 지고 그랬으니까 짐바 땅바이나야 다 이게 심지라 짐바 땅고도 왔으니까 아니 수림 송바이나 수림 심지라 되는 수림 송고도 왔으니 서버 곰바이마이나 심지라 되는 서버 공고도 왔으니 차나 통사지 심지라 통도 내가 이번에 통사 심지라 샤 다들 이번에 통사 심지라를 샤로 배나 장주 셈발라 차샤바이마이나 심지라다 심지 탐지기 된다고 하나 장주기 심게 버려마도 심지 탐지기 내까진 좀 많이나 하나님을 장주 심게 하니 요마했어요. 다 되네 야 공부지 자와이나 산지 고만 토베 되니 로아슨지 탐지기 된다는 게 저기 산지 고만 토게 있는 가라 토바 자와스네 임바다 로벨 이게 소소기분 내고서 melomdin데 따바디야 로아슨지 탐지 미유디 로아슨지 탐지 고라 송도 왔으니 로아슨지 탐지 같은 좀 많이나 아니 산지 고만 토베면도 장주기 쓰네 게면도 아니 짐바타에면도 수준소에면도 서바고면도 순주소면도 왔으니 대인자 다들 요번에 가진 좀 못되셔서
So the short-term, I think, kindness that the sentient beings provide to us is very obvious to all of us. If you look at the different, things that we enjoy, and if you think a little bit deeper, we instantly realize that this is done by somebody else, and through the kindness we are able to enjoy it. So this is like a short-term kindness. If we think the ultimate kindness the sentient beings are providing to us is very important. This is the next meditation that we do, is looking at the ultimate kindness the sentient beings are providing to us. And the people say how and why when we engage in the Dharma practice we have to generate merit, and we do so by in practicing generosity toward the sentient beings. When we generate merit by practicing vijnana, and when we engage all the bodhisattva the activities, we are doing so against the sentient being, and so through their kindness we are able to generate this great merit. Again, same thing when we purify our the misdeed and so on, we do so against the sentient being by treating them well. Through that we purify. And we said that bodhisattva the practice is very powerful for accumulating merit and purifying misdeed, and we practice this toward the sentient beings. So in fact it is the kindness of the sentient beings that are enabling us to practice bodhisattva way of life. As a result, we're enjoying this huge merit. So if you think from this point of view, the sentient beings are incredibly kind for our ultimate enlightenment. And if you need to attain the full enlightenment, you do so by engaging in these bodhisattva practices, meaning that practicing generosity to the sentient beings, practicing the discipline or the vijnana practice. Again, preventing us harming other sentient beings, that enable us to practice the vijnana. And if we pick up any of the activities of a bodhisattva, they are primarily engaging to the sentient beings, that enabling us to attain these wonderful qualities. That's where we say the sentient beings are very kind for our ultimate goal.
Then ta chikni jog de chikni mumare then jimba tanare, tsurim sunare, soba gonare, tsunde tuna jinso pajin cham semje la tene kenya soso yamle chewu do asen tenda tardu ju ngar karin chimar go duktu do sen ta soba gomsa de ta semje yimba de peje ta mama yo chungwa serenge mata yima ni kuran zo la chikde kashi koyi de genyeji ta mi duba nyamle chingeji yiro densa la sheda peje tamu ni che ni shiwen de la shumi kuran chik 리강라도 아니 소소로 쳤는데 쇼 아니 가르 아니 소바 공부했으니 페르서와 나 소바 공부했으니 소바 공사라 콘도스 라이 미지고 오러와 콘도만이 미면은 쿠스밀러는 소바 공부했기는 소비냐래 해거든 말 너가 소바라고 그러지 아니 부 베테자 땅에 부지 야래 genhyara 가르치기 위해서 야슈가 했으니 내가 소바 공부해서 genhyara 잡아서 아니 genja wasa kotono kyanka wasala no genja na sebo mumindusene odine lavarese sobo ngana kondo nanyeje go di kondo nanye semje latene kondo langora mato soso chibuchibu kondo lang soso sobo me kyuni yo marese tente maji go dese tenza sobo gomere jimba tanare sudim sunare sunji somnare semje rangala zongbo do mato soso rangala inje chene soso la chamba gomne chanju gisim ki kyuni me do asim gyong sa di semje la tengo do asim 대소나 단다 로전 지게만나 가르송자스나 소소게 다이나 신이 다시 숨고도 가르송자 강라 다기 펜다베 레와치베 가시 신도 미릭네세나 신이 담바 따와시오스네도 대인사 소소게 다이나야 소소게 외신이 따고를라야디 로아심제 탐제데 자주기 심기엘라다 유긴 소보다 라마 기회 신이라 자치고 증거에 tun다 소보 디인사레스네도
and so ultimately, we are dependent on the sentient beings to attain all this wonderful quality. So without the sentient beings there for us to really engage these practices, we will not get any further. We have this frequently told story about this, and many of you already heard that there was this practitioner who left the monastery, went to a cave to practice his patience, and so he told people that now I'm giving up my studies, I'm going to the cave, practice my Dharma, especially I wanted to engage in the practice of patience. And as he was sitting on a rock and meditating and contemplating on patience, and another acquaintance saw him there. So he went there and asked him what he was doing. He said, I'm practicing patience. And then the man said, eat shit, or the equivalent of bullshit. In America, bullshit. And then the man instantly got anger, and he said, you bullshit. And then the other man said, see, your practice is not working. And so this is the point we have here, is when we engage in our precious practices, we do so by depending on sentient beings. You know, like we generate bodhicitta by depending on this compassion and at sentient beings, and through that we also gain compassion. And so everything that we do in our practices, that we have to rely on the kindness of our sentient beings for us to really practice and attain this realization. This is the same thing whether you're practicing generosity, you're practicing mindfulness, you're practicing this meditation. You really do so by relying on another sentient being. And that's where we say they are very kind for the ultimate kindness that's coming from the sentient being. And for that reason, in the mind training of the 8 verses, and one of the verses mentioned that those people who harm us, those people who we provided a great support, and in return they pay us with harm, we still should contemplate them as our teachers. Why? Because through their negative actions against us, it's enabling us to practice our patience and so on, and bring the good quality within us. That's where they're very kind.
So now we can take 10-15 minute break. Okay.
That's not true. It's not true. Massaging me fingers back here. I massage them all day. You massage my arm, not my shoulder. It's not really even called up. You need to go higher to go massage therapist and more talking. Your husband, my little husband, he's pretty good too. We got a price from him, but we couldn't afford it. From my husband? He gave us mates rates of $80. It was really good. $80 was good. Yeah, but we didn't know massages went up. And you had $80? Yeah. At the Mandarin, his was up to $280 now. Yeah, but that's for people that go to the Mandarin. Have to put oranges and other citrus. Did I give you his card? Oh, because your shoulder was hurting. Yeah, he's pretty good. Was that if you came to us or if you went to? I don't remember. I think we have to go to him. Yeah. He'll come to you for like 100 or but they have good massages. Yeah, I think that's what. What? I've been to the China. Korean. I've been Korean. Creole. The holes there, we just need to screw them up.
I'm trying to put this nail in that hole.
Oh yeah, I saw